Hey guys, my name is Chris if you didn't already know, and welcome to my show SmegChris Review. And once again I have 3 films to review, so let me get started. And the first film I'm talking about is Scary Movie, better known as Scary Movie 6. I nearly said 5 then. Now I just want to start by saying that I do like the Scary Movie films, most of them. The original I thought was hilarious, loved it. The second one I didn't really like, to be honest. I found it funny at times. It was just nowhere near as good as the first. And I actually enjoyed 3 and 4. As for number 5, to this date I still haven't seen it. If it hasn't got Anna Faris or Regina Hall in it, I'm just not interested. And so now to my review of the new film. So the plot, and I use that term very loosely, is practically Scream 5. You know, the one that they called Scream but was actually Scream 5. Hence why this is called Scary Movie and not Scary Movie 6. But what I'm saying is it follows that story entirely. I know this because I've actually just recently watched Scream 5, not long after I watched Scary Movie. And I was like, okay, that's the same, that's the same, that's the same. It was nice to see that Anna Faris, Regina Hall, the Wayans brothers were all back. But not just them. Because I found as I was watching the film there was a lot of nostalgia. Because we were having cameos from people who showed up in the first 2 films, just being thrown in here and there, wherever. And it was fun to see them, but they didn't really serve any purpose to the plot. I'm going to keep doing this every time I mention the plot. I don't know how many times I'm going to say it. Like I've said before, this is all improvised. Let's just say that they were bringing characters back, even if it was just for a minute. If that. But of course, in true Scary Movie fashion, they kept throwing other little plot stories in that made no sense to the actual story, if that's what you can call it. And it got to a point where I'm like, what's that a reference to? I've no clue whatsoever. And at times it was just like, you sat there thinking, why have they done that? I just don't get it. I guess maybe to stretch the film out, because otherwise it'd be very, very short. As for the laughs, there were some really good ones that were in there, and some you're just like, right, cool. One thing I did notice, especially at the end of the film, was the original director, Keenan Ivory Wayans, did not direct this one. And I was like, huh? Why not? I've enjoyed his movies in the past. I mean, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, and what was that other one that he was the star in? And I have it on VHS too, and I'm trying to remember the name. That was it, A Low Down Dirty Shame. Although he did serve as executive producer on this, I was just a little dismayed to find he didn't direct this one. And to be fair, you can tell, because when he's directing something, he's injecting so much humour and his own style into the film. That, I guess, is what I was feeling throughout this film, that I just could sense that he wasn't directing it. I can't quite explain it, I just had that sense, you know? It just didn't feel the same. You know, like how Scary Movie 3 and 4 seem a lot more brighter and way too much comedy thrown into it compared to the first 2. It did give off that kind of vibe. But don't worry, I still enjoyed the film. It wasn't brilliant. It's not the funniest film on the planet, but I did enjoy it. Although I have to say the end was a little weird for me. I don't know if anybody else felt the same way. I'm not going to spoil it, but things twisted on the head right at the end, and I'm like thinking, why are they going in this direction with the end of the film? It just baffled me. I'm just sat there thinking, no, I don't like it. I don't like this ending. It's horrible. But I guess it was for the joke that they put there. It was a one-note joke that they just strung out for a good few minutes, and I was just like, no, stop it. But for the most part, I did enjoy the film. The humour, most of it was on point, and I did enjoy the nostalgia of characters returning. So that leads me on to giving Scary Movie it's not the best in the franchise, but it's certainly not the worst. And now on to my review of my second film, yet another sequel, Toy Story 5. Another franchise that I really, really love. I have to say it was nice to see all the gang return. I was a little worried when I heard that they were doing Toy Story 5, because I was thinking, didn't Woody leave? Oh no, he's back. So it starts off where we see the gang are still with Bonnie, apart from Woody obviously because he's gone off on his own adventures, but we find out that Jessie is still in contact with him through a radio. And so Bonnie's feeling a little left out because she plays by herself, she's got no friends, and she's finding it very hard to make friends. And so her parents think, what can we do to help? Enter a little device called LilyPad, basically an iPad. And so that helps her connect with people that she knows. But because they make fun of her for still playing with toys, those toys start getting neglected. And so Jessie decides that she needs to help, and she starts going off on her own adventure. And that's where Woody gets involved because she goes missing and he needs to help find her. And what I really enjoyed about this story was that it did centre on Jessie more than the others. I've always felt like she's been sort of a side character after Toy Story 2. You know, she was brought in at that point, introduced to us, and I really loved that character, and she's pretty much been a sidekick since then. So it was nice to see her as a main character this time. And I have to say, I mean, obviously it's going to happen as time goes on, but the animation is so beautiful now. I mean, it's always been great, don't get me wrong, but it just seems like when we see landscapes or even just a street, it looks like it's actually that landscape that's been photographed, not just designed on a computer. I mean, normally when I'm watching animated films like that, after a while I start feeling a little headache buzz. Not this time. And of course, in true Toy Story fashion, there's a lot of humour and they always hit the mark. And it was nice to see Buzz and Woody bickering once again. Now, talking of Buzz, right at the beginning we find that there's this whole army of Buzz Lightyears, new upgraded models, and it's fascinating to watch their story develop as well as Jessie's and the rest of the characters. But you're always there wondering, is this army of Buzz Lightyears good or bad? You do find out eventually, but I'm not going to ruin it for you. Let's just say I really enjoyed that plot point. To be honest, I'm stood here trying to think, was there anything bad about the film? And I can't think of a single thing, honestly. And so I'm going to give Toy Story 5 it's not the best in the series, but it's still very enjoyable and worth watching. And now on to the third film I'm reviewing. I'm sure this t-shirt will give you a clue as to what I'm going to talk about. That's right, the new Spider-Man film. I'm kidding, it's not even out yet at the time of this recording. Wonder how long it's going to take me to edit and post it. Knowing me, about 3 weeks. Anyway, so yes, I'm going to talk about Supergirl, the new superhero film, the spin-off from Superman. So the story is basically where with Kara, Supergirl, in space, and she's on this planet where there's a red sun, so she has no powers, so she can get a little bit on the drunk side. Okay, maybe on the very, very drunk side. As the film progresses, we start seeing more of her backstory, you know, her origin, and this is the reason why she's in the state she's in. In the meantime, we're introduced to another character called Ruthie, who sees her family getting slaughtered, and so she wants revenge. And eventually, her and Kara's paths cross over. We're also introduced to another character who is brilliantly played by Jason Momoa, Lobo. Honestly, when I say he was born to play that role, he was born to play that role. I know he was a good Aquaman, but he's a better Lobo. So as Kara and Ruthie's paths cross, she's trying to get Kara to help her out, and she's having none of it, until the bad guy of the film does something to Crypto, her dog. So at this point, Crypto's on his deathbed basically, so Kara springs into action. And I have to say, there is lots of action in this film, and I thoroughly enjoyed all of it. So one thing I didn't understand was, if this girl Ruthie was trying to find help from somebody else, or she's wanting this revenge, Kara gets on a bus that leaves the planet. Why had Ruthie not just done that? I'm just saying, it just seemed a little weird to me, that. But anyway, so this bus, or transport as it's best known, it's heading towards where there's a yellow sun, where Kara's going to get her powers back. But she quite hasn't got there yet, and these pirates show up, and that whole sequence, I was just smiling, grinning from ear to ear throughout the entire scene. And of course she gets her powers, and that's when the goosebumps started. It was awesome. Now I'm not going to go too much into the story, I don't want to spoil anything, but things just get better and better as time goes on. Of course there are those quiet moments, and during those moments we start seeing more of Kara's backstory, which I enjoyed. Not quite comic book accurate, but when are these films ever like that? With the exception of Lobo, he was. I'm just going to keep saying it. Jason Momoa was brilliant as Lobo. Anyway, and there was some David Corenswet's Superman showing up here and there, mostly in flashbacks, and also on video screens trying to get Kara's attention. She just wasn't having any of it, and it injected quite a lot of humour into the film, which was good because there was a lot of serious undertones in the film. And as for the CGI, it was wonderful. I mean, lately films seem to not be able to create these great special effects and CGI, but Supergirl, it was great. I have to admit though that the film did start feeling a little bit one-sided, that it was just this one plot point that they were all involved with. But then Lobo came back and it just completely turned it on its head again. And I don't want to go too much into it, but I mean, there were a part of the film that really slowed down, I'd say in the beginning of the third act, and I was just like, you're dragging it out, please just get to the end, you know, let's get to the main action. And then it does, and it just becomes mind-blowing. So it's fair to say that I really enjoyed this film. Not quite as much as Superman, but yeah, I did enjoy the film. Millie Alcock as Supergirl / Kara was fantastic in the role. I really enjoyed her take on it, especially when she starts getting cocky and kicks butt. Although I do have to say that the villain, whose name escapes me, I have no idea who that was, and didn't seem that interesting. Don't get me wrong, he was really, really bad, as in evil. I mean, he's the one who hurt Krypto. But I just wasn't really engaged with his presence on the screen. I'm just saying, they could have chose a better villain, is what I'm trying to say. But the rest of the characters, especially Lobo, were great. I really enjoyed watching all of them. And because I enjoyed Supergirl so much, I'm going to give it a... It could have had a better villain, but I really enjoyed seeing Lobo in this film. He needs his own film, I'm just saying. And there you go, that's all 3 films. Finally, I've got through it. But it's now time for me to go. So all that's left for me to say is thank you for watching and subscribing if you have, and liking this video if you did. Until the next time, peace out. I know, this is the wrong S, but I don't like the new S on Superman or Supergirl. I said that about Superman, and I'm saying it here and now. They need to switch back to this. I'm just saying. I mean, I know they're trying to be different, but it's still Superman and Supergirl. This is the sign. This is the S. They need to bring this back.